Hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and I am so excited to be back live with you again today, my friends. Tell you a little something about myself. I love shopping for presents for people. Here's the thing though, I love it in a very specific way. I love to spend all year looking for things that I think people will love. I love stumbling across an amazing gift and thinking, oh my goodness, my sister will love this, and purchasing it in May and then keeping it until birthday or Christmas time or some special time to give her a gift. That is my favorite kind of gift giving, and I really do collect things all year long. However, when it gets to this time of year and the holiday season is starting to roll in and people start saying things to me like, okay, Sarah, what would you like for Christmas? The thoughts in my head become zero. I know that I have thought throughout the year, throughout the month, throughout 2 days ago, oh gosh, that would be really fun to have. But when somebody asks me, what would you like for a gift? I can think of no things. And that's okay. So what I've done is I have put together 10 ideas, gift ideas for yarn lovers, and none of them are yarn. Because I mean, I always ask for yarn, and you certainly can. And depending on who is doing the gift giving, some, let's be honest, some are better at picking things to your liking than others. So I have I'm not against asking for gifts of yarn. I just figure that's kind of a given. So I have 10 gift ideas for yarn lovers that are not yarn. And I hope to give you some ideas to share with people when they ask you, what would you like for this special day? Or if you have yarn loving people in your life, that you might have some easy ideas of things to gift on to them. So let's get started. Number 1 is project bags. I live by the philosophy of never too many whips. Those are works in progress. Never too many. So I keep each one of my whips in a project bag. It helps me to stay organized. All of my project bags are different. And so a lot of times I'm a very visual person. So I'll think, oh, the pink and maroon project bag has the whatever hat, or the project bag with the sheep on it has the test that I'm doing. So it helps me stay organized. I try not to leave my whips so long that that I have to take the hook out of them. Quick little side tip: if you need to remove the hook from your bag, leave yourself a little sticky note, because if you had to change it to meet gauge, you might come back to that and not remember what hook you were using. Okay, back to project bags though. So let me tell you what I personally look for in a project bag. I look for 4 things. I like a cinch top. I've never had issue with losing things out of cinch tops, but I have had trouble with snagging my yarn on zippers. So nothing makes me cringe like zipping a zipper closed and feeling it catch on your project that's inside. And then like hoping that you haven't just torn a big hole in it, or like snagged a big snag. So I prefer a cinch top project bag. I love it if the project bag has pockets inside. Big pockets, small pockets, doesn't matter to me really. I just like to keep like a few stitch markers in there if I need them for the project, or slide my hook in there, or I have like a little pair of travel scissors that folds all up so they're not sharp. Slip those in there if I'm taking it on the go. So a pocket is always helpful. Especially when my kids were younger, I was always taking projects on the go, and I love it when a project bag has a handle, because you know, you got your hands full with all the kids things, and you got to hold the little kid's hand, and you can just put it over your wrist and you're good to go. I also love it when a project bag folds flat. You can see this one is currently not in use, and it folds completely flat, makes it super easy for storage. I have an antique dresser in my craft room that I use for storage. And so I have a drawer that just has unused project bags. And when they're nice and flat, they just slip in there really easy, and it's super wonderful. So idea number 1 for yarn lovers, a project bag. You can find project bags at big box stores like Joann's sometimes. You can find them on places like We Crochet, and you can find all sorts of super unique and gorgeous ones on Etsy, which is where I got this one. I will put a link to the shop in the description, and let me show you. Oh my gosh, let me show you. This is the one I could not resist. It is full of a test that I'm doing. I got this one on Etsy. I love it. It makes me happy every time I see it. My husband thinks it's ridiculous. I don't care. It makes me happy every time I see it. That's a fun shop. I will tell you, I hesitated because I believe that shop is in Lithuania and I'm in the United States, and that seemed like craziness. But friends, I purchased. She did an amazing job. The bags are gorgeous. It took a while for them to get here. So if you're looking for Hanukkah or Christmas gifts, you may have to save that idea from that specific shop for something you've got maybe a little more time. Because it's a long ways away. I guess for me, depending on where you are, maybe it's not. All right. Idea number 2. I recently got a Lucet Fork, and I am in love with it. If you know me, you know I am a connoisseur, shall we say, of all crafts. When I see a craft, I want to try it. My house is full of not just yarn, but all sorts of crafting things. And so when I saw the Furls Lucet Fork, I wanted it. They sold out very quickly. So I had to wait a while, but that's okay. I have my Lucet Fork now, and I've been playing with it. And you guys, I wanted it because I wanted to try it, but I absolutely love it now for several reasons. One, it makes the most gorgeous braided cord. It's the same on all sides. It's so gorgeous. And then 2, picking up the technique was super easy. Look at this one. I held 3 yarns together, and it's all marled. It's really pretty. Picking up the technique was super easy. I have a full tutorial that I'll link in the description below. And once I got going, it was so meditative. It was surprisingly calming. I have made yards of cord, gorgeous cord. My brain is ticking away with ideas of what to do with this gorgeous cord. And so check back regularly to the links in the description, because when I share those projects, I'll add them here so that you can have them. So idea number 2 is a Lucet Fork. This would also be a great gift for a crafty kid. My 10-year-old could easily do the Lucet Fork, and I'm guessing my 7-year-old probably could too. If you are anxious about giving them a fancy furls Lucet Fork, Amazon sells several, not nearly as gorgeous, but several more reasonably priced Lucet Forks. So if your kid would like drop it on the ground and break it, you wouldn't cry. I would cry if they broke my furls one. All right. So that is gift idea number 2. Gift idea number 3. I'm going to disappear below my table here for a minute. I got to grab it. Idea number 3 is blocking mats. Okay, friends. I started learning about blocking my makes when my boys were little, and they had those play mats where the foamy play mats. And so for several years, I blocked my makes on the foam play mats. It works. It is hard work because getting things lined up, and like you got to be careful. You can't poke your pins too far through, or like they might scratch your floor. So I finally invested in some really, really nice blocking mats. They came in this handy dandy carrying case, which I carry nowhere because I don't need to block at my neighbor's house or block a project at my mom's house, but it keeps them really nicely contained in my closet. And let me take one out and show you why I love them so much. I love them so much for several reasons. One, they are really nice and thick. So when I stick my pins in to block, I don't have to worry quite so much about scratching my floors, which is normally where I block, is on my floor. They have these grid lines. These help me not only make like a straight line of the top of my shawl, but it also helps me say like, I have 4 squares between my picot stitches. And so then I can evenly space those out and block them just really nicely. It makes it so much easier. Then you'll see, look, these curved lines. These are great for crocheters if you love to crochet a mandala. This will help you block it into a perfect circle. I have not crocheted a mandala, but I did knit a sweater, and when I blocked it, I used this curved line to make the neckline nice and even all the way around. It was fabulous. Highly recommend actual, real, fancy blocking mats. So that is my gift idea number 3. Now, my blocking mats came, let's see if I can pull these out, with a bunch of T-pins. You can block with the T-pins. I absolutely do. But my next gift idea is something that will help you go even faster when you are blocking your makes. And that is these special blocking pins. They come in 2 sizes, a larger one and a smaller one. And as you can see, they have, careful, these are very sharp. They have many pins all in one. And so instead of putting a whole bunch of different pins in, you just stick this in once and you've pinned down a whole area. The other thing that's nice is, these pins are straight. So when you pin them down, that's also helping you get a really nice straight line. So again, highly recommend, especially if you do a lot of blocking, having really nice blocking mats, and these blocking pins will make blocking go so much more smoothly. All right, so number 4, blocking pins. And again, I will have links in the description below. So if you're like, that's great, Sarah, but where do I get those? I'm helping you out. It's fine. And if you're thinking, yeah, but like people are asking me for gift ideas, what do I do? Just send them this video and tell them. All the links are in the description. It's fine. Idea number 5 are fancy hooks and needles. When I very first started crocheting, I knew that I preferred bamboo or wooden hooks. And so I went on Amazon and I bought like 15 hooks for $10. They were just simple, straight bamboo, and they worked for me for quite a while. I mean, technically they still work, but once I started getting more into crochet and I was crocheting more and more, I desired and found that for my hands, I needed a hook that was a little nicer. I was super hesitant. I mean, you're talking to the person who spent $10 on 15 hooks. I was super hesitant to invest in really nice crochet hooks. So I think asking for a really nice crochet hook as a gift is the perfect gift because it's something you really want, but you aren't willing to spend the money on your own, which to me is just like the most perfect type of gift. Something you want, but you aren't quite willing to spend the money, but since it's a gift, you don't feel guilty about it. I love Furls crochet hooks. My first fancy hook was a Furls crochet hook, and I purchased it around this time of year because they were having a sale. So that's another great thing about asking for fancy hooks and needles during the holidays is that they often have sales and you can get those fancy hooks or needles for a little less expensive. So I'm going to start by showing you my most favorite Furls crochet hook. This is their Alpha series hook. I told you before I love working with wooden hooks. These are my absolute favorite. Not only are they stunning, look at all of that. Furls hooks are all handmade. The wood is beautiful. They work so nicely in the yarn, and I am a smaller person, and so they fit really nicely in my hand. They are lightweight and comfortable, and these are my absolute favorite. I'll be honest with you, though. These are very expensive. I don't own many of the Alpha hooks because of their price point. But the great news is that Furls has lots of hooks at lots of different price points. A favorite of a lot of people's, and they are absolutely a gorgeous hook, are the Odysseys. If you prefer a metal hook or a heavier hook, this is a great option for you. They come in all sorts of gorgeous colors and lots of sizes as well. Because I prefer a lighter wooden hook, this is not my favorite kind, but lots and lots of people love it. The hook I have the most of, and the hook that was the very first Furls hook that I tried, is the Furls Streamline. These are a more reasonable, more affordable, maybe I should say, price point than the Alpha. They are all a natural wood, and this one's one of my favorites because look at all that beautiful coloring and how that is right. It's perfect. I love it. So these are a great price point, much more affordable price point if you're looking to try a fancier hook. These also, the shape of them fit really nicely into my hand. They are really lightweight and move really nicely through the yarn. I have many sizes in the Furls Streamline, and it's probably the hook that I use the most. So idea number 5, fancy hooks or needles. I know I showed hooks there, but I mean, if you're a knitter, you know that there are all sorts of beautiful fancy knitting needles that come in beautiful woods, and so that would be a good option too. All right, idea number 6, and this is one of my favorites. Yarn themed clothing or gear. I love me a good hooded sweatshirt. I'm wearing t-shirts a lot in the summer, and so my next recommendation is yarn themed gear. How cute is this that the little cactuses, look at that center cactus has knit, looks like it's knit, and then there are like the ball of yarn. So many really great crochet and knit themed sweatshirts and t-shirts out there. Search on Etsy, 2 shops I recommend. This one, this shirt, I don't know if it's still available, but this was one of my favorites from Rebecca Haas, and her Etsy shop is Rebecca Haas Crochet, and she's got all sorts of fun themed, yarn themed gear there. So definitely check her out. And then I have been eyeballing the gear of Lisa from Green Fox Farms, and her Etsy shop is Green Fox Farms Designs. She has lots of really cute gear for knitters and crocheters, and definitely a shop to check out. You can definitely fall down the Etsy rabbit hole of lots and lots of, I mean, is it a surprise that knitters and crocheters are amazingly multifacetedly creative and have come up with all sorts of beautiful gear for us? No, it's not a surprise. It's amazing, and we're very lucky. All right, so that's gift idea number 6, clothing or gear that is yarn themed. My next recommendation for a gift idea for yarn lovers is a Swift. Are you ready for this? This is a big one. This is a yarn Swift. Now there are several designs of yarn Swifts, and so you may Google yarn Swift and come up with something that looks fairly different. But what a Swift is if you buy yarn, and some companies are making their even non-fancy yarn. This is most associated with hand-dyed yarn, this hank, but there are some non-indie yarn dyers who are also hanking up their yarn like this. When you undo this, it's essentially just a long donut of yarn, and you can absolutely hand wind that without a Swift. You can have a partner who's super nice and holds their hands like this for a long time. You can put it over a back of chair. I've seen people sit on the floor with their feet up and wrap the yarn around their feet. It is my experience that is time consuming and can lead to tangles and messes. But what a Swift does is, this is an umbrella Swift, and you'll see why, because it opens up like an umbrella. And you put the yarn around the Swift, and it holds it nicely in place so that it doesn't get tangled up. This is a super, super handy tool if you find you have lots of hanks in your stash, or if you're leaning towards buying more hanks. It'll save you so much time. The Swift can be used in conjunction with my next idea, but doesn't have to be. My next idea is a yarn ball winder. This attaches to your table, and it rotates around and feeds the yarn from the Swift sometimes, and changes your yarn from a hank to a cake. It makes this really nice. If you've ever seen these around and you're like, how do people get their yarn to be like that? It's a yarn ball winder. That's how you get your yarn to be like that. I use this with my Swift to change my hanks into cakes, but I also, Maybe it's because I'm a designer. I also use this to frog projects. If I can't tell you how many times I've almost or completely finished a hat and put it on and it didn't fit, or the design wasn't quite right. And I just take it, feed it through here, hold on to my hat, spin, and it'll frog the whole thing for me in seconds. Sometimes you get, part way through a shawl and you decide it's too hard, you decide it's too big, you don't like the yarn for it, you love that yarn and have found a different project. All great times and reasons to use your yarn ball winder to wind your yarn back into a cake. All right. I have 2 more gift ideas. My first of the last 2, did that make any sense? I don't know, is a shawl pin. Shawl pins are fairly small, but I'm adding them in this because their price point can go from fairly inexpensive price point that I would call stocking stufferish, which for me is $10 and under, to beautifully handmade ones that are more expensive. This one's kind of middle of the road, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful design. What a shawl pin is it's a pin for your shawl. The way that you use it is to kind of hold your shawl in place. So way back in the day, when I first started knitting, I wanted to make this really fun shawl. And I worked and I worked and I worked and I had this yarn and it was so pretty. And I was so new to knitting that I didn't even realize I didn't even have half the yardage that the pattern called for. So I ended up with a super short shawl. But what I can do is if I want, you can see my ends to wrap around, my ends have to be super tight. If I don't want that, what I can do is put it on a little asymmetrical, take my 2 ends here and use my shawl pin, carefully stick it through your stitches. And then my shawl pin holds these 2 ends that otherwise would just slip apart so that I can wear my shawl a little more loosely. Shawl pins are amazing for asymmetrical shawls. If you know what an asymmetrical shawl is, they usually are really large on one side and tail off to a long and skinny end. And a lot of times you end up with like a short little part to throw over your shoulder on the big end and then a lot of wrapping to do with the shorter end. You can go through the long end and the wide end to hold it in place with a shawl pin. So that's just a fun and kind of unique. There are lots of people who don't have shawl pins. You can find them in lots of different styles too. I've seen them made out of wood. I've seen them made out of metal. I've seen them made out of rock or stone. So shawl pin, that's a fun idea. All right. My last idea is an interchangeable set. When I first started learning to knit, I was a teacher and my husband was a graduate student. Money was not plentiful. And so I bought needles. I started knitting needles as I needed them. And I eventually amassed over the years a large collection of double pointed needles with the cords. Such a mess. One of the things that I did that brought me a lot of kind of surprising joy was I bought an interchangeable needle set. And that then just has all of the needle sizes and 1 or 2 of several of the cord lengths. And then you just attach the needles you need to the cord length you need, and you're good to go. And they are often in a nice little carrying case. And then you go from, I'm not joking, literally a bin of all sorts of needles with all of their cables all over their place to a little pack. I have with me right here my Knit Picks interchangeable Tunisian crochet hooks. So similar situation. You can go online and you can buy a Tunisian crochet hook with a cord and a stopper already like permanently attached. And you can buy one for each of these sizes. You can decide that like, oh, I have this size, but it's got a short little cord on it and I want to make a blanket. So now I need another one with a big long cord. Or you can ask for the interchangeable set and have it all together right here in this little carrying case. I find this very handy and a great gift idea. All right. That's my 10 ideas. I'm going to run through them one more time. Project bags, Lucet Fork, blocking mats, blocking pins, fancy hooks or needles, clothing and gear, a Swift, a yarn ball winder, a shawl pin, a set of interchangeable hooks or needles. And those are all my ideas. Some of the things that I have shown you are things that I have purchased from larger companies like We Crochet or at Joann's or on Amazon. But I want to encourage you guys. I am a small business owner. I really want to encourage you guys to shop small as much as possible when looking for gifts. The yarn world runs on a lot of small independent yarn dyers, designers, shops. Please, if you have a local yarn shop within driving distance, go check out your local yarn shop for some really unique and special gifts. Go on Etsy or go on Instagram and search for small businesses that have these products and purchase from them. It means so much to each small business owner. Every single purchase they get means the world. So anytime you can shop small, I highly encourage it. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate you supporting my small business. Please like the video. It helps it get shown to other people who might find this helpful. I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any tips and tutorials. And be sure to turn on notifications. It's the little bell icon. And then you'll get notifications every time I share a new video. Links to the gifts, a blog post I have written about all of these gifts that go into a little more detail and have some really nice pictures, as well as a link to the tutorial for the Lucet Fork are all in the description below. If you check there today and find a couple things missing, come back again and check again. I'll be updating it as I update all the things. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was wonderful chatting with you again. I hope this alleviates some potential stress or worry about gift giving this holiday season. Thank you so much for joining me and happy crafting.